Here we have a Hourston Glascraft 26-footer locally built Canadian boat, and today's project is the refurbishment of the hardtop. We already started this project before I decided to make a YouTube video on this. The main reason we're fixing this hardtop is that it had a crack on the top flange and it was sagging, but we found other things that we'll also fix too. The windshield is quite corroded. This is a powder coating. We're not going to fix all of it, but around the top and the back. It's quite corroded along the top here, especially where the fasteners are. So we're going to remove those. We don't need those anymore. We'll fill them in and paint it. But we'll have to fix some of this corrosion. I would have liked to remove these rails, but I have no access to these lower bolts. I can't get up in there. So that would have been installed before the deck went on. So we're just going to leave it. We're going to work around those. The hardtop was fastened to the windshield with screws. See, all along here we've got screws going up through the flange. As well as the sides. There's a hole there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 looks like. To access those we had to take the track out. This is what the track looks like. Now in our boats we do it differently. We use bolts. So the bolt goes through here and slides along. And I think that's a much better approach, stronger. So the gasket was quite worn out, and on the sides I could actually see daylight right through. So that's a big leak point. We took the side glass out in order to work on the corrosion easier. So to do that, we take the top track out, and you have to kind of slide it out with the glass in there, and once that's out, then the glass will lift up high enough to get it out over the bottom here, so not so hard. Here's our hard top. We have flipped it over already. We've removed most of the hardware on the top, which was some rails and some lights and a dome, radar dome. Most of that stuff was not sealed properly, so we've already resealed the side rails, and we'll be resealing the other stuff when we install it. But let's go over some of the issues that we found on this. So here's the fabric that was on it. It's just called a hull liner, and the hardtop is over 6 feet wide, yet this material only comes in 6-foot wide rolls. So they actually had a joint in it, but the joint wasn't in the middle, it was off to the side, and it looked pretty silly. So what we're going to do is run the material the other direction, which is less than 6 feet, so there won't be any joints. I think that'll look better. This is where the crack was. Don't know how it happened, but this flange is quite thin. But we've fixed it. We've glassed on both sides, as you can see. We will add more layup along this flange here, make it a little stronger. You see we're missing some balsa core. That's because it was rotten. There was a leak. There was a antenna mount right there. It wasn't sealed, and it just got it all rotten. So we cut all that out. We're going to put a new piece in. Bigger than that, but that's what it looks like. They've run wires all through this. There's a light there, and they ran the wire underneath the layup down the side. So basically it's not coming out. All along the front. Got another light here. So we're going to abandon those wires. And up there was some blocks that were glassed in to kind of raise the space to make an area for wires to sit. Looks silly, and so we got rid of that. We're getting rid of all those wires. Even down this channel there was wires running, and it wasn't glassed over, it was just filled with silicone, so that kind of compromises the structure. So we're going to glass over that, fill it, glass it. We have these blocks of wood here. They were just held on with 3 screws, and there was no sealant, and you can see the wood's rotting. We're going to get rid of that and change that up. Here's the other one. See how loose that is. It's got snaps. That's where the drop curtain and I think the slope cover attaches. Another thing I didn't like is the fabric actually wrapped up and over here, and it was stuck in between the hardtop and the windshield, and that's not going to seal properly, so we're not doing that. In place of these blocks, I'm going to make up a new block. I'm going to glass it, paste it in place, gel coat it to match the color, and then we're going to make some panels that go here. And that's a place where the wires can run through. At this front, the owner wants a shelf, so we're going to run a shelf straight out, about in the middle, about 7 inches. And have a little cleat on it so stuff doesn't fall out. And we'll cover that in fabric, matching fabric, and that'll get screwed in place. So that will go on before these side panels, so the side panels will butt into this shelf. The radar was located up front here. There was that radar and some holes from an old one. So we glassed all those in. We glassed over all those holes, you can see there, and put some polybond paste. And on the other side we're going to finish it with gel coat. So it'll be all sealed up. The radar is now going to go back there on a proper post. It was actually just sitting right directly on the hardtop. We've added 2 layers of 1.5 ounce mat to this flange. I made these blocks to replace these old ones here, so they're going to get fiberglass and pasted in place, and then we gel coat them. The panel will attach to it like so. These are the products we're using to fix the windshield. This is our finished paint, Top Black Plus. It's a new product, and it's replacing this bright side, so that is no longer available. This comes in lots of different colors. We've got the ivory. There's lots of different whites. And then this is the primer for this Top Black. And this is the filler we're using to fill the corrosion and the holes. We sanded all the ends and the top and at the front of the frame. We've put the first coat of primer on, and then we've filled all the corrosion, especially around where all the fasteners are. And along the top there's some old fastener holes that are no longer needed, so we just filled them with that same filler. So we've got 1 coat of primer, then the filler, then another coat of primer, and we're going to put another coat because I can still see through. Curing time varies depending on the temperature, but recoating 1 to 6 hours, I believe. It's on the label. Just checking the label here, and it says it's 24 hours to recoat at 5 degrees Celsius and 3 hours at 35 degrees Celsius. We framed up the shelf out of plywood, and it's going to get covered in fabric, and then it will be screwed onto the hardtop after the hardtop's on the windshield. Now we flip the hardtop over, and you can see all these holes. They're filled with Polybond, and we have to finish them off with gel coat. The two bigger ones, that one there, that one, we're going to glass over, and then we're going to put some gel coat on them. I fit my panel to the hardtop. Still have to trim the bottom edge here. That will be done later. And you can see I put a cleat in here, so that gives me a cavity to run the wires. And here the cleat's done, and we gel coated it. We've placed the hardtop on the windshield and checking the fit. We just had to trim this block a little bit. It's too tight. This block was fine. Okay, so now we're going to lift it up and put the gasket in place and then screw it in. We now have the hardtop permanently mounted all around. It was screwed back on the same way it was originally installed. We used this double D gasket. Hard to see that. There. Now we put that on the outside edge of the frame all the way around. And you can see the screws. There's 4 screws on each side and 9 in the front. We've got the glass in now. So how we did it, first you've got to put the aft piece in. You put it in from the outside. You slip it in the top track there first, and then you slip it into the bottom track. Then you put the front one in, and then you have to slide the track in with the glass in place. And it's a little challenging, but not too bad. And that's how you do it. I covered the shelf with the same fabric as the hardtop. It's just called hull liner. Did it in one piece, wrapped around, and then I put a separate piece on the ends. And screwed into the hardtop with 6 screws. I've wrapped the side panels with a 1/4 inch foam and vinyl, and it's held on by 4 screws here with the snap caps going on top, and then here we've got 4 more snaps, but they're also screwed right through into the wood behind to hold the panel on. Up in this corner we've trimmed this wood so it butts against the panel, and I put a little notch in the top corner of the panel for the wires to get through. So wires will run up inside this cavity here, and then in behind the panel from there, and then they can go up forward behind the panel, and then down. They'll go down the corner here, but some will run. We're going to run in behind. There's space up in here. We can run wires through and through into here, and this is where the chart plotter will be mounted, right on the hardtop. So I fit the snaps on, and I made sure that the canvas will slide onto the track, and it works from this side only. but it works without trimming that track at all. I'm going to call that the end of the project. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.